What would your life look like if fear never made your decisions? Imagine waking up with courage in your lungs, fire in your chest, and the unshakable belief that the world bends to the bold. This isn't a fantasy, it's a choice. And today you'll learn how to make it your reality. Most people don't live, they just survive. They let comfort numb them and fear define them. But bold living, that's where purpose ignites. Fearless living, that's where growth explodes. If you're tired of playing small, these 6 rules will challenge you to step up, break out, and live with the kind of courage that rewrites your story. Number 1, start before you're ready. Readiness is one of the greatest illusions in personal growth. Most people are waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal plan, or a sign from the universe. But here's the truth, the perfect time will never come. If you're waiting to feel completely prepared, you'll wait forever. People who live boldly understand this. They don't wait for clarity, they create it through action. You don't need confidence to begin, you need courage. Confidence is the reward, not the requirement. The moment you take that first uncomfortable step, something powerful happens. You begin to build momentum, and momentum is a force stronger than motivation. Bold people don't rely on feeling ready. They move forward even when they feel shaky, unsure, and overwhelmed. Because they know this, the breakthrough always lives on the other side of the beginning. Think about any skill you've ever developed. You didn't start as an expert. You stumbled, you failed, you adjusted, and you grew. The same rule applies to your dreams, your goals, your reinvention. You can study all you want, plan for weeks, and prepare endlessly. But none of that replaces the value of action. Learning happens in motion. Boldness is built by doing. James Clear says motion feels like progress, but only action gets results. It's easy to hide behind preparation. It's comfortable to stay in research mode. But bold living demands more than comfort. It demands risk. It demands doing the scary thing while your hands still shake and your voice still trembles. When you start before you're ready, you send a message to yourself and the world. I trust myself enough to figure it out as I go. That trust is the root of courage. It's what separates those who live a life of quiet regret from those who die with fire in their chest and stories worth telling. And let's be honest, what's the real risk? Embarrassment, mistakes, imperfection, that's part of the deal. But what you gain in return is massive. Growth, resilience, experience, and clarity. You can't steer a parked car. Direction only comes after movement. So instead of asking, am I ready? Ask, what's the smallest bold move I can make today? Start writing the book, even if it's only 1 paragraph. Apply for the job, even if you feel underqualified. Launch the podcast, even if no one listens at first. Starting doesn't mean you'll get it perfect. It means you're serious enough to show up. Your future self is waiting for you, not when you're perfect, but when you're in motion. Bold lives aren't crafted by the most talented. They're built by the ones who had the courage to begin when everyone else was still waiting. So stop stalling, take the leap. Begin before you're ready. That's how bold living begins. Number 2, choose growth over comfort. Every time. Comfort is seductive. It whispers promises of ease, safety, and predictability. And for a while, it feels good. But here's the truth no one talks about. Comfort is a cage. It might have soft cushions and familiar walls, but it quietly traps your potential and starves your ambition. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It's messy, unpredictable, and often scary. But it's also where all your power lives. Every bold, fearless person you admire didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there by doing hard things, by leaning into challenge instead of backing away. They chose the path that stretched them, that demanded more, that made them sweat and stumble. Why? Because they understood that growth is the price of greatness. James Clear reminds us that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same is true for discomfort. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you deposit into your future. You may not see instant results, but you're building mental strength, resilience, and identity. Growth pays off, always, but only if you're willing to step outside the comfort zone that's quietly keeping you average. Think about this. Your most transformative moments in life, did they come when everything was easy? Or did they come when you were pushed, stretched, and forced to rise? The truth is, growth lives in resistance. Like lifting weights at the gym, the pain is part of the process. Without resistance, there's no strength. Bold people develop a mindset that flips the script. When they feel discomfort, they don't retreat, they get curious. They ask, what am I supposed to learn here? Or what is this stretching me to become? They treat fear as a compass, not a warning sign. When something scares them, it usually means it matters. Here's the rule. If it's easy, it's probably not growing you. And if it's hard, it's probably changing you. That doesn't mean you need to suffer endlessly, but it does mean you need to stop seeking ease as your default. Ease might make your day feel good, but it won't make your life extraordinary. Every time you make a decision, ask yourself, does this path expand me or shrink me? Does it build my future or protect my past? It's not about being reckless. It's about being intentional. The people who live boldly are the ones who keep walking when the path gets steep. They understand that courage and discomfort are inseparable friends, and they welcome both. So the next time life offers you 2 paths, one familiar and safe, the other uncertain but filled with potential. Choose the one that scares you a little. That's where the growth is. That's where the edge of your next chapter begins. Don't settle for a life that feels fine. You weren't built for fine. You were built for growth. And that means choosing the stretch over the snooze every single time. Number 3, speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. There's a quiet power in honesty, not the kind of honesty that's convenient or safe, but the raw, uncomfortable kind that reveals who you really are and what you really stand for. Bold living requires this kind of truth. It demands that you speak your mind even when it's easier to stay silent. It calls you to stop hiding behind what's acceptable and start standing up for what's authentic. Why? Because the world doesn't need more people who blend in. It needs people who show up fully, unapologetically, and without a mask. People who speak from their soul, not just their script. People who aren't afraid to be misunderstood, because being understood is less important than being real. Your voice is your power, and every time you silence it to make someone else comfortable, you shrink your own spirit. That doesn't mean you speak to offend or confront. It means you speak to express, to align, to liberate. Bold people understand that truth creates connection. When you speak honestly, you give others permission to do the same. But let's be clear, truth-telling is not always easy. It's often uncomfortable. Your voice might shake, your words might come out messy, you might be judged, criticized, or even rejected. But here's the thing, if the cost of truth is discomfort, the cost of silence is your identity, and that's far too high a price to pay. James Clear teaches that your actions are a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Speaking your truth is one of the most powerful votes you can cast. It tells the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you value integrity over approval, that you'd rather be respected than liked, that you're more committed to your values than someone else's opinion. Every bold, fearless person has a moment when they chose to speak up instead of shut down, when they voiced their vision, defended their dreams, or stood up for what they believed, even when no one clapped. And those moments are turning points. They build courage, they strengthen identity, they change the course of your life. So how do you start? Begin small. Speak honestly with the people closest to you. Say how you really feel, even if it feels awkward. Set boundaries that reflect your work. Share your ideas, even if they might fail. Stop saying yes when you mean no. With every act of truth, you train your voice to grow stronger and your life to grow freer. Your truth is not a liability. It's your superpower. Don't water it down to fit in. Don't mute it to keep the peace. Don't bury it under fear. Speak it, own it, live it. Because bold living isn't just about what you do. It's about who you are, and who you are deserves to be heard, even if your voice shakes. Especially if your voice shakes. That's when you know it matters most. Number 4, fail loud and rise louder. Failure isn't the end, it's the fuel. The difference between people who live boldly and those who live cautiously isn't the absence of failure, it's how they respond to it. The bold fail, often, invisibly, but they never let failure define them. Instead, they use it. They fall hard, and then they rise harder. They know that every misstep is simply proof that they're in the arena, not on the sidelines. Here's the truth. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. Playing it safe might protect your ego, but it costs you your evolution. Real growth, real success, only happens when you're willing to look foolish, mess up, and keep moving forward. The world rewards the ones who are brave enough to fall flat and still stand back up with fire in their eye. James Clear says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." But let's add this. You rise again, based on the strength of your mindset. Bold people build a mindset where failure isn't personal, it's practical. They treat it like a coach, not a critic. They ask, what did this teach me? Not what's wrong with me. They see every failure as feedback, every loss as a lesson. Think about this. Babies fall thousands of times before they learn to walk. Artists create hundreds of bad drafts before they produce something beautiful. Entrepreneurs burn through multiple ideas before they find one that works. If failure were fatal, none of them would have made it. But they did because they kept going. They learned to fail loud, not recklessly, but openly. Failing loud means owning your setback. It means not hiding when things go wrong. It means letting your attempts be seen, your risks be visible. Why? Because it builds resilience, yes, but also because it builds trust. People don't respect perfection. They respect perseverance. They respect the ones who are willing to bet on themselves, fail publicly, and come back even stronger. When you live this way, something powerful happens. Fear loses its grip on you. Failure stops being something to avoid and starts being something you accept, maybe even welcome. Because once you realize you can survive it, learn from it, and still rise, you become unstoppable. Here's your rule. Fail with full force. Swing hard. Take risks that matter. Launch the thing. Say the words. Take the leap. And when it doesn't go your way, don't shrink. Don't disappear. Rise louder. Speak more clearly. Move more intentionally. Because every comeback is a declaration. I'm not finished yet. Bold living doesn't mean you never fall. It means you never fall quietly. It means you fall like someone who intends to rise. Again and again. Number 5. Surround yourself with fire. You become what you're around. It's that simple. Your environment is not neutral. It's shaping you every single day. If you're surrounded by people who play small, you'll start shrinking your dream. If you spend your time with those who fear change, you'll start resisting growth. But when you surround yourself with fire, people who think big, live bold, and chase greatness, you catch flame too. This isn't motivational fluff. It's neuroscience. We are wired to mirror the behavior, mindset, and emotions of those around us. If the people in your life constantly complain, make excuses, and settle for mediocrity, their mindset becomes your ceiling. But if you're around people who challenge you, who talk about ideas instead of gossip, who chase goals instead of comfort, that becomes your new normal. James Clear writes, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Think of your environment like soil. You are the seed. No matter how much potential you have, if the soil is toxic, you won't grow. But in rich, energized soil, one filled with ambition, courage, and support, you thrive. People living boldly don't leave this to chance. They intentionally curate their circle. They seek out mentors, friends, and communities that stretch them. They don't just hang out with people who agree with them. They connect with people who challenge them to think deeper and act bolder. They find their fire tribe and stay close to the heat. Ask yourself, who in your life lights you up? Who drains you? Who pushes you to be better? And who keeps you stuck in place? This doesn't mean cutting people off cruelly, but it does mean choosing proximity wisely. Energy is contagious. Be around people whose energy pulls the best out of you, not the fear. You want to live fearlessly. Spend time with the doers, the builders, the people who failed, but kept going. Listen to their stories. Watch how they handle adversity. Learn how they think. When you see boldness in action, it stops being a theory and becomes a possibility. And remember, it's not just about consuming inspiration. It's about contribution too. Bring your fire to others. Be the person who encourages, uplifts, and speaks vision into those around you. Iron sharpens iron. Fire spreads. And when bold people come together, movements are born. So don't just build a network. Build a bold circle. Fill your world with people who make you forget how to quit. Surround yourself with fire. And soon enough, your fear won't stand a chance. Your courage will grow loud. Your vision will grow clearer. And your life will rise higher. The rule is simple but life-changing. Your circle shapes your strength. Choose one that dares you to be great. Number 6. Decide who you want to be. Then be that person daily. Bold living is not a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline. It's not about waiting for a magical transformation or a moment of clarity. It's about taking full ownership of your identity and choosing every single day to show up as the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Most people let life shape them. They react, they adjust, they adapt to their circumstances. But bold, fearless people do the opposite. They shape life. They start by getting radically clear on one powerful question. Who do I want to become? Not what do I want to achieve? Not what do I want to have? Who do I want to be? Because once you define that identity, every decision becomes easier. You no longer ask, should I do this? You ask, would the future version of me do this? That identity becomes your compass. James Clear says it best. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. It's not about massive change overnight. It's about small, consistent votes, cast daily, deliberately, and with intention. You want to be confident, show up and speak, even when it's hard. You want to be disciplined, do the hard thing even when no one's watching. You want to be fearless, move forward even when you're uncertain. These aren't traits you're born with. They're choices you practice. Over time, those practices become patterns, and those patterns become who you are. This is how bold identities are built. Not through talk, but through action. Not through luck, but through repetition. You don't find courage by thinking about it. You build it by living it, even on the days you don't feel like it, especially on those days. That's where identity is forged. So start each day with a decision. Write down who you are becoming. Visualize that version of you. Ask yourself, what does that person do today? How do they act? What do they tolerate? What do they walk away from? What do they lean into? Then act accordingly. Not perfectly, just intentionally. The biggest trap is waiting until you feel like the bold version of yourself. But feelings are unreliable. Identity, on the other hand, is a standard. You rise to it, You live by it. You commit to it, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one notices, especially when it's hard. That's how transformations stick. Living boldly means you're no longer waiting to become someone you already are. You just have to prove it to yourself through action, every day, with every choice. So decide today, who do you want to be? Brave, disciplined, purposeful, unstoppable. Then cast your vote, again and again, until one day, you wake up and realize, you're not pretending anymore. You are that person. That's the final rule for fearless living. Identity first. Action second. Results, always. Decide, align, repeat.